Um, I guess we could just call this the first episode of Idea Talk. It was an idea that I came up with. And for those who don't know me, shout out to my 13 subscribers. Those who don't know me, I am Mr. Electplayer. I made a video on why the last arc of Beastars is really bad. And that's pretty much all I've done of significance. But I had this idea for like a podcast like thing where we just talk about like story ideas and things of that nature, because I really liked moments in like podcasts like reviews where they talk about story ideas and what they think would have worked in a story like this. I always found those really entertaining. I always liked talking ideas, so I decided to make like a little podcast thing out of it. I decided to do it with Patrick over here.
I got my throat. I need to clear it. Fuck. We are in a very awkward recording position. We're both using one singular XLR mic, and we're both like, I'm wearing a mask right now just to like make it less awkward that we have to have our faces so close to like the mic.
Yeah. So I have Patrick here. Say hi.
What's up? Yeah.
He's pretty small time. I bet you don't know him. I'm more famous. Shout out to my 13 subscribers again.
True.
And yeah, I just talked ideas with him before, so this is pretty much just the best setup for this. You said you had notes and shit?
Yeah, and then I memorized them. I had like a little like Google Doc sheet, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, a little Google Doc sheet.
Yeah, and then I like memorized them, and I was like, perfect, yeah.
I came completely unprepared. It's just stream of consciousness.
Well, in general, we're talking more just like about like ideas that could be used in different things or certain stories, or just like both.
One thing I'll say is that most ideas can be good. They just have to be done well. But every idea has the capacity for being shitty. It's all like about execution.
Danganronpa has its...
has its moments.
Well, the games are really good, but the anime is really bad. Not the anime of the first, but like the third anime. No, that just ruined the series. Like, I'll admit, the first game had some really good stuff.
The first game had some really bad stuff.
Well, talk about some of the story elements that were used there, and we'll go from there.
I guess. We'll just talk, like, I think, now I think about it, I should make a Danganronpa review. Anyway, I think one of the things that really don't work in original Danganronpa is some aspects that just like come out of nowhere, like the whole Celeste shit. That was like sort of not built up well. A lot of like logistic conveniences, like this person just so happened to be in the right place to get this piece of evidence, and all that like shenanigans or stuff I don't think about in Danganronpa. Don't think work in Danganronpa. So that's just.
Well, I guess story idea. So this was an idea I had for a story like back in the beginning of senior year of high school. I wrote a bit of it, and I just like kind of stopped because I was like, yeah, cool. I don't really know where to go from here, but I feel like I want to hear your thoughts on this. So this is a combination. I got inspiration from two things, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? So the first thing was JoJo Part 1, and the second thing was the trailer for the movie Onwards from Disney Pixar. I know. So I thought
me and Dio go on an adventure to bring George back to life.
So I thought it's like, you know, they're like, oh, what if like magic existed in like modern day or whatever? Or like, I'm like, that actually is a really interesting topic that I feel like that, like, as the movie wasn't out at the time, I feel like that movie probably wouldn't cover, but there's so much you could do with that. Like, you could say that, like,
Bright.
What?
It's just a kid's version of Bright.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Bright?
No. I've heard of it.
It's pretty. This movie's pretty to me. Like, continue.
Yeah, but it was more like the idea, like, you know how, like, actually kind of like, this kind of reminds me of Jujutsu Kaisen now, really thinking about it. I was thinking, like, you know how, like, with magic, there's curses and people get curses put on it? What if, like, the main character's, like, this, like, super arrogant, like, hotshot who, like, spent his whole life trying to, like, impress his father because his dad's, like, the head of, like, a big corporation that, like, does, like, some shady deals involving magic and stuff like that. But then, like, when he finally... But, like, they're kind of, like, evil. They're, like a semi-terrorist organization, but he's so, like, obsessed with trying to impress his dad that he doesn't even realize that the shit he's doing is domestic terrorism. I was thinking, what if, like, at the beginning it starts out with him finally, like, stealing, like, this, like, object that his dad has been wanting, like, his whole life. Except when he does do that, he gets a curse put on him where, like, he can get rid of it, but the only way to do that is he has to... I was trying to think of, like, the conflict for, like, who he has to meet or something like that. But basically, he only has a year left of his life. And when he finally gets the object for his dad still treats him like shit. So it's kind of like him getting put into perspective the fact that, like, he's wasted his whole life on someone who doesn't even care about him. And now when he finally fulfilled something that that person wanted, he just, like, is stuck because he's like, well, fuck. I only have a year left to live, and I've been wasting my life. So now he has to make a choice either to embrace that last year and try to like find that person that could cure his curse, or it's kind of like he could just continue working for his dad and just die knowing that he wasted his life.
That that can work, but, like, of course needs elaboration on, like, the mechanics of magic systems are like fucking pitfalls, dude.
Oh yeah,
They can make or break.
come on.
The JoJo video's coming out, I swear. But yeah, magic systems can, like, make or break certain stories. So as long as the magic system's done right, it can work. It just needs to, like, be, like, developed. Like, where's the main conflict going forward? Because the choice the character's going to make is pretty clear. They're probably going to pursue, like, being able to live on, and then they have to have, like, another conflict going where, well, what's preventing them from, like, undoing the curse and things like that. What's stopping them from finding the person they need to find?
Oh, it actually reminds me of, like, like, this is all coming back to me because I haven't thought of this idea in, like, a year and a half. I was actually thinking, so it's like, because he spent his life, like, basically working for a domestic terrorist, he's made a lot of enemies, and like, a lot of people fucking hate him. And when he finally opens up his eyes, another conflict is, like, to meet the person that put the curse on him. The only way to do that is he has to, like, get in with the people who he's wronged his entire life. So now it's also about, like, making genuine, like, connections with people also, where he has to...
Vinland Saga.
Yeah. Yeah. It was actually... Before I read it. I did actually see, like, some clips of it on, like, Shodan's Up when it was, like, airing then.
Oh.
I do that.
Yeah.
Vinland Saga is a whole other thing we gotta talk about, because I gotta finish reading that shit because it was so good.
Yeah, it's a damn shame you haven't.
Oh, the deal was, it's like, I would read Vinland if he read Beastars. He read all of Beastars because he's a fast reader.
I got fucked over in that deal.
Well, kind of.
Vinland Saga is so much better.
I read up to the end of the prologue, and then he got me really interested in One Piece, like really, really interested. And then now
It's
I'm on
my
like,
fault.
And now I'm on chapter 867, I think.
Don't blame me for your sins.
Dude, One Piece is so fucking good. Thank you for getting me into it. Because, like, back when you were telling me, I'm like, this shit seems so long. Like, a story can't be this long and be consistently good. And then I was proven wrong entirely.
I don't think One Piece is consistently good. I think it has its heights and valleys.
But its valleys aren't low. That's the thing.
Its valleys aren't horrible.
Because
it's not unbearable.
Thriller Bark, even though it has flaws, what really matters to me was that it was a really fun time. Like, it was, like, a really fun arc. I loved the aesthetic. I loved the characters. I just loved, like, I don't know, even the comedy. It was, like, pretty fun.
I enjoy Thriller Bark in places.
Yeah. And Dressrosa was long, but I'm actually going to say, like, I don't know if it's, like, a hot take, but I felt like Dressrosa, it never really dragged for me. Like, I kind of didn't have a problem with the pacing.
I would say the climax of Dressrosa was, like, slow in a lot of places. Like, the Doflamingo fight, I felt, was paced slowly.
Yes, but I feel like what worked is, like, another thing that I don't like in stories, like, I feel like Dragon Ball kind of is an abuser of this, where it's like, every single time the character uses a crazy, cool, good attack, it's like the main villain's like, ha! I'm completely fine. Doflamingo kind of does that, but it's like, each time I feel like at least it's a little bit more understandable. Like when Cell like survives the whole exploding thing, the fact that we know that Cell could like destroy a solar system, it's kind of like, how are you supposed to take that exploding thing seriously? With Doflamingo, like we don't know. We just know he can like use string to do a lot of things. So I felt like at least his defeat made sense when Luffy finally did the really hard punch.
With the Cell exploding thing, even Cell thought he was going to die. He was surprised by the fact that he lived.
I mean, that's true. I don't know.
But let's talk about. Is that like, is that all you have for your idea so far?
No,
Or do you
I have
like,
more notes, but I'd rather have you like say some stuff.
Oh, I don't know which, like, I have like a fucking laundry list in my head of ideas, and I don't know which one I want out there because like some are more embarrassing than others, and I'll just like throw out a few powers and stuff. Or I'll just throw out like a few power ideas and shit.
All right.
The first one is this was thought up like a while ago, but it's a JoJo stand basically, and the stand ability is whenever the stand touches you, there's a timer that begins, and once that timer ends, the stand gains the ability to basically mess with your vision somewhat, have you see like minor illusions, like a man stalking you, but other people can't see it. And then another timer activates, and once that timer goes off, they can start messing with your hearing, and like suddenly you can hear the man taking steps and things like that. And then another timer goes off, and they have the ability to start manipulating what you see in the environment, like things start shaping and things start like objects around you start shaping and morphing, and the world around you seems to start like shaping in certain illusionary ways. And then a fourth timer activates, and once that goes off, it basically messes with your senses, every sense of like touch, temperature. Like it can make you feel like you're in a burning building, and even though you aren't in a burning building, it still looks, it still sounds, and it still feels exactly like you are one. But there is the faint sense that in the back of your head that like none of this is real, and you can be convinced that you're hurt. You can be convinced that you're injured, and you can even be convinced that you're dead. As long as you keep your head in the back of your head that none of this is real, you can pretty much power through it. And then the fifth timer activates, and when the fifth timer goes off, the stand gains complete control over your body, and your mind basically drifts alone in a complete illusion, in an illusionary hell of your own creation, filled with every fear and every regret that you've ever had in life. It basically sends your mind to a personal hell while the stand completely controls your body like a puppet.
That actually sounds like it would be like one of like the like a lot better like Stardust Crusaders or like Diamond Unbreakable type episodes. Like that's like, I feel like with that it kind of be like one of like, I don't know, like let's say like Polnareff starts seeing the man in places, and like none of them believe him. Then he starts hearing things, and like we see like him like slowly descend to madness as like Jotaro and Joseph and them like start realizing when it gets like maybe the fourth timer, and like we see like Polnareff like experiences stuff. That could be like a really good idea for like an enemy stand.
Yeah, it was just one of like the stand ideas I've come up with in over time. A couple other like powers that I've come up with over time is just like this was originally thought of in the context of My Hero Academia, funnily enough, was just the ability to absorb electricity into your body and have it basically give yourself like a temporary boost to speed, strength, stamina, that kind of thing.
Kind of like full caloring.
Kind of like that, yeah. But you have to electrocute yourself first, and it's very painful.
Kilowatt type beat.
Yeah, and it's still very painful. And the whole concept behind it came from the character always lived his life believing he was quirkless until an unfortunate accident led to him getting horribly electrocuted, and then suddenly he had just like this power flowing through him. And eventually it, like, the more you use the power, it needs like a constant flow of electricity, so if it doesn't, then the power just fade away after time.
Would it be like the more tolerant the body gets of it, or like entirely like pain eventually goes away?
The pain goes away, and also the power goes away as you...
No, I mean like the more he uses the power, does he become more tolerant of like getting electrocuted, or like does he become completely numb to it, or...
He becomes more tolerant of getting electrocuted. But the whole point is in order to be a hero, he has to push through the pain of being electrocuted almost constantly.
Yeah, that's a really good. I feel like that's Denki, but like done better.
Who?
You know, like the Kaminari, the guy that has the electricity. If he uses it
Oh,
too much,
yeah,
it becomes like Saitama face or whatever.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
I forgot Kaminari.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's like a better like drawback. Cause what's the name of the mangaka of My Hero?
I don't remember.
Horikoshi, I think it is.
Sounds about right.
Maybe something else. Yeah, actually, I want to look that up because I'll be like referring to it.
So,
Let's do that real quick. Yeah, Horikoshi, I was right. Yeah.
let's go.
So I feel like that actually does fit into Horikoshi's writing style because he always seems to like, which is really good. He always writes that there's like a drawback to each power, but it's like realistic biological drawbacks. I find cool, like how, like Yayorozu, her power, it like things get created from her fat cells, so she has to like eat a lot. But also, like, if she uses it too much, she could, like, you know, become malnutrition, like, malnourished and things like that. And also the way that she can create things, she has to study the composition of, like, that is, like, cool, realistic things that I like about Horikoshi's writing style. And even though some things might make less sense, like how, like, Sero's arms, like, the arm tape causes his skin to become dry, it's still, like, interesting drawbacks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I forget Bakugo's drawback, though. It's like...
Isn't Bakugo's drawback is that it injures him?
Maybe.
It injures, like, his arms.
Something like that.
It hurts his arms to use his power extensively, but he just uses it anyway.
Yeah, and then Todoroki feels like really hotness or bad hypothermia, things like that.
Yeah. Todoroki either lets his body overheat or lets his body get too cold. Which is the drawback of each power from his parents.
Actually,
and the whole point of him being born was to just neutralize Endeavor's drawback.
But it doesn't entirely work, though.
It doesn't entirely work because Todoroki hasn't mastered either his ice or his fire.
Yeah.
If he's able to use them in tandem, then his power could theoretically be unstoppable.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like how like with Fox and Melee, where it's like even though he's solved as a character, you have to play him like exactly perfectly to be unstoppable. But it's impossible to play perfectly because we're human, and human is not perfect.
Todoroki is the Fox of My Hero Academia.
Todoroki is the Rem, if you're watching this, which I feel like you probably will, I feel like definitely make that into a meme.
Midoriya is the Jigglypuff of My Hero Academia.
Yeah. Actually, wait, that reminds me of a little like power I thought of, where it's kind of like it's fire, but the more you use it, like you actually feel all the pain of fire. So like the character that has that power would only use his power like maybe like in extreme dire circumstances, because every time he like sets himself on fire, he feels all the real pain of being set on fire. And like because he has the power to like at least control fire, it's not like he gets completely disintegrated in an instant. He just gets like scars and stuff like that. And it's like he has to really make a choice sometimes, or it's like, does he want to feel that extreme immense pain to help people, or or he's going to try doing this without fire, but then also the fire is a burden to him, where it's like, you know what, he has that temptation to always pull it out, but he knows the pain and destruction that could cause like from it. Controls won't work, conjure it, because he can't control the fire when it comes down. It can burn things down.
That actually reminds me of another power that I thought up. Same like context of like My Hero and such. It was before I ever learned about Overhaul, because it's kind of similar to Overhaul. But it's sort of like the power, I guess the best way to describe it is fusing organic and inorganic materials into one. So he has the ability to basically take like inanimate or inorganic objects and make them a part of his body. Or in other cases, a part of other people's bodies. So what happens is he basically just has weapons inside of him and a part of him that he can just make appear from his body.
Well, what's like the big drawback of that, though? If you're planning to have a drawback, it doesn't have to be one, but like, you know,
the big drawback of it would just pretty much be the more more like inorganic materials he has in his body, the more dominant inorganic materials will be in his appearance. So like say if he's got a lot of like steel and such, his body will start like having characteristics of steel protrude out.
Oh, I see.
And the character was planned to be like a villainous character, which would simply just bump people in the middle of a sidewalk or something, and then in a singular instant, those people would just have bombs planted in their bodies. And he would do that every day for about a week and bump into random people, plant bombs in their bodies, until he would finally detonate all the bombs at once and cause mass death in a major crisis.
Huh.
His character motivation would pretty much just... He likes to see heroes, quote-unquote, shine. As in, he likes the look of heroes as they save people in desperate scenarios, to the point where he's obsessed with it, to the point where he'll cause desperate situations to let the hero shine.
That's a really fucking cool motivation. Like, I really think that's so cool. Not like condoning, yeah. Like, I think it's like you don't see villains like that usually. Like, villains that want the heroes to win, but they want them to win so badly that they cause crime for the heroes to, like. That's interesting.
And then the whole thing, he even gets to a point where he takes other people with like pretty good quirks and just sort of captures them and completely messes with their body, to the point where they are basically half human, half puppet, which is a display puppet like characteristics of constant twitching. Part of their bodies are wooden, so people think they're like what's it called? What's the word? People think they're just like wooden arms attached onto them, but attempting to break them, like blood pops out, like blood and veins and such are flowing through the wood, even though it's supposed to be like a little wooden arm. And he basically just does torturous things to these people just to create a little army of puppet villains for the heroes to fight. And the ultimate thing is the only way to have these objects like removed and separated from their bodies is to kill him.
Oh, and that creates the fact that they
have to kill him, and the heroes have to shine brighter than they ever did before by killing him, and that is the only way to solve the crisis.
That's a really good conflict.
And then the whole thing would be like one character close to the protagonist would get a bomb planted inside of them, and then they'd realize that like, oh, this could like detonate and a lot of people could die, so we have to like stop them. And they have like a personal investment too, and eventually like protagonist character kills the villain boy, and a lot of the puppet people, they have like the wooden parts of them separated from their regular bodies. One of the characters, but their brains and their bodies have just been messed with so much that one of them tries to like give thanks to a person for finally freeing them from this prison, but can barely even know how to speak.
Yeah. Actually, another thing I wonder too is, like, you know, you said like that the person puts a bomb in like someone close to the protagonist. What if to make the decision to kill this character? Because like, obviously in some things it's like, oh yeah, the heroes don't want to kill people, and other things it's kind of like whatever. What if like instead this person is close with someone to the main character or to the main character themselves? I feel like then that would create so much more emotional weight, going like, this guy, what he's doing is awful, and the only way to like stop him is by like killing him. But it's at the same time, it's like throughout the story, like the main character has like somewhat of a connection with this person, and he has to like let go of this person, realizing that like in the end this guy's his friend, but the only way to stop this is by killing him. Like, I feel like that could also add emotional weight to the decision of why they have to kill him, instead of just, oh, we have to kill a man. Usually it's like,
I like the idea. So let's run with that idea for a bit and have the person just display his power as like, oh, I can infuse my body into objects, and he's like touches like a gun and his hand becomes a gun, and he's like, yeah, this is how my power works, and pretty much hides like the true capabilities of what his power can do. But then people start dying from like the bombings and such, and it's like, well, whose quirk could have done this? And it slowly starts getting pieced together that only one person's quirk is capable of doing something like this.
oh yeah, that would work, because then we would slowly be figuring out as an audience, going like, oh wait, no, it can't be that person, no wait, it is that. That works so well. I like that a lot. Like definitely I feel like what makes it more impactful if we knew that character throughout the story. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it for my, because like I have certain ideas that I don't want to share currently.
Yeah, we'll wait till like further episodes.
Yeah, further episodes.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do further episodes.
Like,
this is really fun.
All right, do you have anything else on your end?
Well, how long gonna make this episode? We're currently at 27 minutes.
We can go farther. We can go further.
Yeah, I would say maybe like want like a 40-minute run.
40 minutes. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, it's like 13 more minutes. Yeah. I'll bring something. So, my favorite story type, and it's kind of like an okay, I guess. I don't know why. Like the idea of like a bunch of like young adults living in a city and like different areas in that city get like corrupted and they have to go into like those corrupted areas and like fix it. Basically, the plot of Tokyo Rod Sessions.
I've never heard of that.
Oh. Well, okay. It's like everybody hates Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but not for what it is, but what it was supposed to be. And I feel like that's not fair.
Well, what was it?
The original working title of Tokyo Mirage Sessions was called Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem.
Oh.
And then they just turned it into like a Persona game.
Oh.
But like even more J-poppy than like Persona.
Oh, was that the fucking? Is that the?
The game I have on my Switch, yeah, the one where it's
oh,
like the fire
now I get it.
Personas.
I didn't know it was called that.
Yeah, it's like my favorite fucking story type, and the game has like no attention because like everyone hated it for like not being like like as like encompassing of both series. But I feel like it's my favorite story because it's like there's so much you could do with it because it's like a bunch of like people trying to like deal with like their own problems and like I don't know, I really, because you could have slice of life and you could have like dramatic action. So you can have like people dealing with their own problem, like kind of like Beastars, where it's like the earlier Beastars, where Legosi's just kind of like trying to solve his own fucking shit.
Oh, that kind of. Oh yeah, that.
But then also like that stuff could also tie in conflict with like the mystery of like why different parts in the city are like getting corrupted, why people are getting kidnapped into this like weird sphere.
It's weird.
Like the idolosphere, that's what it was called. Weird. Not like a sphere, but like it was called like the idol, like a different dimension that would like turn different parts of the cities into like Persona 5 palaces.
Yeah.
And I like that idea a lot. And I like always wanted to write like a short story about like characters that like secretly have to like go in and like solve these mysteries and like stop different parts of the city from being corrupted. I don't know how to explain it, but like I don't know. That's my favorite story type.
That sounds good.
Persona 5 Scramble has that same type of story, and that's why I'm excited for that to get
Persona
translated.
5 Scramble? Oh, yeah, that.
Strikers, whatever.
Strikers,
yeah.
I think you mean Persona 5 Strikers on the PC.
Yeah, my PC can't handle it. I'm getting it on PS4.
My PC port of Persona 5 Strikers.
Yeah.
We heard you like Persona 5, so we gave you Persona 5 Strikers on the PC.
I mean, that's pretty exciting.
It's the Switch meme all over again.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, it is coming to Switch. It is coming to Switch. Persona 5 on Switch. We got it, guys.
Persona 5 on Switch. Yeah, we got it.
Guys, if you care that much, just go ahead and buy a PS4. Like, my God.
Well, I think, like, porting Persona 5 to like the PC is just opening itself up for a lot of mods, and I think that'd be really funny.
Yes, I want to play as Yu Narukami instead of the Joke Man.
The Joke Man, funny boy. Man. He makes a lot of jokes. He's the Joker, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I can elaborate more on like that later. That's kind of going through most of my stuff too.
I mean, that's going through most of my like minor stuff.
Yeah,
like
same with me. Same with
tiny,
me, yeah.
the small things. So I kind of want to keep it small for the first episode.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Could just dedicate a whole episode to the underpowered hero idea we talked about.
Exactly, yeah. Because that call, the first one was like an hour, the second one was an hour.
Because like, fucking that was an hour.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Because I was driving all the way back from like, I can't say his name. I was driving back from Big Boss's dad's place, which is like all the way across the state, and I called you directly like at the edge of like our state because we live on the other side, and then we got off call when I was already at home, so it was like more than an hour. But it was like an hour of like really good story stuff. He has this story completely planned out.
It's not completely planned out. There's the other big thing that I've not talked to you about, and that is That is the Hollowed Abyss story, and I'll tell you about that sometime. Maybe even on like another episode of Idea Talk. Oh, maybe subscribe.
Yeah. No, yeah, I have two big stories. One's a sequel to the other one.
200 pages.
It is a big one, except to explain it, there's so much backstory for any of it to make sense. And I tried writing out that backstory to explain to people on the fly, but I didn't even get done with it. And like I was halfway through the backstory and I was already 8 pages in. And I'm like, fuck. The magic system's very, very complex, but I made sure to make it also very tight. When I finally explained it to you, I want your opinion if it's tight or not.
I've had a magic system in mind for a bit, and that's just like it's kind of simple and it's kind of basic, but it's sort of like one of those technique-based systems like Key and shit.
Oh, like Key and like Nen
like
and stuff
Key
like
and
that.
Nen, but like a different twist to it. So what the thing is, it's got 2 aspects of it: mana and magic. Every person can produce mana, but not every person can produce magic.
What's the difference between mana and magic then?
Mana is sort of like the fuel for the body. Like using mana allows you to basically increase your physical capabilities and also keeps you alive. You have sort of like a surplus of mana inside your body that you can use to that means. And if you run out of that, you can pretty much start using your own life force to fuel physical boosts.
So does that like make you weaker and shorten your lifespan, or?
Push to its extreme, it'll kill you.
Oh fuck. Okay, yeah. No, and that creates good stakes going. Like someone, it could be like kind of like. Are we talking about spoilers for Hunter x Hunter?
I don't know.
Well, just say it's like a character towards the end of the series who like makes like a vow and it's like could very well kill them, but like they're so desperate in this situation that they don't care if they die. Like that type of thing. Like a character if they're pushed hard enough or they just want to win or they just want to like seek vengeance so badly that they'll like use their life for.
That's like the desperate battle that I had in mind involving this power system was just slowly towards the battle they start getting weaker. They like have to use the physical boost to like specific parts of their body as they like do things. Like if they're running, they'll use it to their legs specifically instead of spraying it around out their entire body, and to the point where they just literally start losing their sight, losing their senses, to the point where they're just fighting blindly, and then, well, they just keel over.
Fuck.
And then there's magic, in which by basically forcing mana through some sort of gate, they can basically turn mana into magic, where while mana gets stored in the body, magic has to be used. It has to be used.
But what if it isn't used?
If it isn't used, it'll sort of explode. It'll sort of just either leak its way out of the body.
Oh, but but you said explode. Is that like
if it's forced to stay, it can come into an explosion. Okay. But if it's just that's my phone. It's 4 o'clock. Clock to work out. All right, continue.
All right, cool.
There we go. It's 4 o'clock. So, not everyone is born with like a gate capable of producing magic, and each magic has its own element attributed to it, and through that element you're able to do like the technique specific to that element. So it's like the fire, water, and shit, and that's pretty much like the basics of the magic system I came up with a while back.
No, that is interesting. That is definitely like, is it for like one of those stories you're talking about, or just like a random magic system?
Just a random magic system.
That's really cool. Yeah, I have a whole magic system. I want to explain, but to really explain it to its full detail, it involves 8 pages plus 8 plus pages that I'd rather save for an entirely like much later down the lineup. So we could have like full-on episodes dedicated to like our long-term story ideas.
Oh fuck.
That could be fun, yeah.
Yeah, that can. I'm trying to think of like other smaller things that I've come up with, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna toss this to it. I'm just gonna toss this aside. Shit. Nothing's really. I gotta think for a moment because I have like I don't write a lot of things down.
Oh no, me neither. But I I know what you mean. Like we both have, like we all think of a lot of ideas that like in our head, and we're like, oh, we could write this down, then we never do.
Man,
Then when I finally started, I got really distracted and then didn't finish it. And as we know, 8 pages.
what? I kind of, honestly, in terms of like recent ideas, I kind of just been developing underpowered heroes idea more. So.
What is really good? You have like all the arcs planned out and the twists at the end. It's really good.
Oh yeah, the whole. I'm just gonna briefly throw this out there, just like I don't know, it's like a little teaser bit, but the whole like war arc I talked about that one time, like the whole war that happens, and I've just decided to add an entirely another faction of like people, and it's just adventurers who decide to side with the Demon King just to preserve the world, so that they can just keep it. So
they hit like you keep it like all the places that they plan to adventure. They could like keep those places out there existing.
Well, the whole thing is like this world is supposed to be like, oh, everyone's ideal like little isekai shit, and it's like, oh well, people want to defeat the Demon King, but defeating him means like the end, and it's like the adventure's over. And we just we don't want it to end.
But like main character, doesn't he also like face that conflict too, where it's like he doesn't want it to end, but he realizes that he has no choice but to do that?
No, he really wants it to end. This world is practically hell for him.
Oh yeah, no, with like, I'm not gonna spoil like why I know that, but like no, like the stuff that happened towards the beginning,
Towards the world was just practically hell for him. So he's like, oh, I will literally sacrifice entire like cities full of people just to like reach my goal of bringing an end to this fucking hell. And there's the whole there's like a whole little mini conflict of, well, a lot of like adventurers and a lot of people are actively choosing to be blind to like a lot of the actions, just like, oh, it's just like innocent little quests, and it's like, yeah, but the Demon King has like this massive army that can exterminate us in like a few months. It's like, are we going to do anything about that? No, let's just focus on like it's just like a lot of adventurers and people living in denial of the threat of the overwhelming threat shadowing them.
They're like, fuck it, I don't want to be here. It doesn't matter. All I care about is what's happening in this moment, period. And they don't have any even like thought of the future, which it always is good to live in the moment. But like if you solely just live in the moment and don't like plan for the future, that's bad too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's
what they're doing.
It's a little tease of the underpowered hero idea.
Yeah.
It's a little fucking. That's pretty much just been like major idea that I've been developing, and there's a whole lot more to it and all that stuff.
Well, do you think it's time to wrap up the episode here? We just hit the 40-minute mark.
Yay, 40 minutes!
Woo! Yeah.
It's long, but it's not longer than Beastars, the worst arc in Beastars. Hey, that's a video y'all should check out. I wonder who it's made by. Oh, it's me. Let's go.
Electplayer.
It just started screaming and plugging my channel everywhere.
Well, I mean, I'm also gonna, when I announce this, I'm also going to plug that video, the Beastars. I'm gonna plug that too.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess it's time to end it here. You're
editing this? Yeah.
I don't really have much more to say. I'm definitely excited to do more episodes of this, because we should definitely turn this into a series.
Fun. I like it.
Yeah.
It was my idea, but I'm just fucking with you.
No, it was his idea, and I'm so glad you had this idea.
Yeah.
We were gonna record it a couple days ago, but then like I get distracted easily. But we're recording it now. I feel like it was better that we record it now too, because back then I didn't really have like things prepared that I wanted to say. But like at least I like created like a bunch of like notes and then memorized the things
I always come prepared. I brought my phone and nothing else.
Yes.
It's like I'm out of water. All right. Well, I've been Electplayer, the special guest. I feel very special.
You're not a special guest.
I am very
host.
special.
You're the host.
I am the most special.
No, but yeah, you're the host of this.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, see you guys later.
Yes, sir.